The Darkside Detective. A Fumble in the Dark. Oh, I was so looking forward to this game when it came out. And it came out April 15th of 2021. And it was basically 6 cases with a bonus 3 cases released over the period of a year and a half. Oh yeah, this is a fun game. And it picks up pretty much where the last game left off at the end of its last bonus case. Now, if you haven't played that, I do recommend playing these games. They're fun. But as a brief recap, in the game you tend to play as Detective uh, Francis McQueen, as he is the Darkside Detective. Now, let's be honest here. The Darkside Division is the Twin Lakes division that takes care of all the paranormal stuff. But at the end of the 9th case in the previous game, Dooley disappears. And the department shuts down the Darkside division. So basically, Detective McQueen is basically running everything out of his own home. He is searching for Dooley in the dark side, trying to find him. In a bit of a convoluted first case in this game, we find Dooley. Now, this involves a medium trying to get a phone line connected to the dark side, which there is one. Unfortunately, the building that it's in is condemned. So you got to get that, then get all you need to access them, which in turn is a, a mess to deal with to get everything together. And once you do, you find out that Dooley is literally in the Dark Side division, in the Dark Side's version of basically where your apartment is. Now, he's been there for about a year, at least in the Dark Side. And he's had his own adventures in there, which they touch upon in later cases. But once you get Dooley back, you then moved on to case 2, where, and I should note that one of the puzzles in the case 1 is literally trying to figure out where Dooley is, and you're going to get locations that are in both games, at least in Twin Lakes. I mean, part of what you have to do in that first case, you have to manage to get the phone book from an auction house, which you have to sneak into, and of course they had some people try and pull fast ones on them, like Dooley, McQueen, and or McKing, and yeah, even McQueen. But again, once you have Dooley back, you move on to case 2, where Nana Dooley, well, they're bringing a gift for Nana Dooley at her retirement home, or retirement community. But all the retirees are going nuts. And it's basically, there's something spooky going on. So you're going to try and figure that out. You end up almost unleashing a demon, but then you find out that the actual source of all this insanity is the one janitor. He's a reverse vampire. You find this out because when you check out his little habitat and you find out, you see things. It's like, yeah, he was part of a class of vampires, which also have very memorable names. I actually had to look one up. I mean, you got Vlad Tepes, Dracula. You have Count Orlok from Nosferatu, Lestat from Interview with a Vampire, and a bunch of others. I think Bathory's in there too. But once you get that, you find out he's just feeling down. So he manages to get together, to get some things together. They have a nice little ceremony for him, makes him feel better. And it's amazing. All the people there were already aware of it, that he was a reverse vampire. And they love him. Kind of how it should be, if you ask me. But anyhow, once you have all that together, you move on to the next case because Nana actually gives you something to take you to for the next case, which is to go back to Ireland where the Dooleys are from, and Dooley must take part in his coming of age ceremony. He's just a few decades late for it, you know. Yeah, I went into my mock Irish accent there. Anyhow, as you are going through it, you find out that the Dooley family actually does have a very sacred duty. They protect the Sunstone. If anything were to happen to it, the sun will not rise. So, first of all, you got to find out who stole the Sunstone, and it turns out that there are some of the Dooley's rivals have snuck into the place and stolen it. So you have to find them and catch them after you get Dooley all ready for the ceremony. And then once you get that, you got to get the Sunstone back up. Sunstone launched into the sky so you can get the sun back up there. Yeah, this involves a rocket that's somehow, I think, in the Dooley Manor. Why, I don't know, but it has a countdown of 10 to 1. And for some reason, the 1 takes the longest time to happen. But of course, once you succeed in that, and Dooley is now properly a man, you can return back to Twid Lakes. And in our next case, case number 4, we have a bloody good, decent case here. People are disappearing from the fun fair. That's not fun. So, you have to work your way around the fun fair, somehow being able to access further parts of it, which are blocked off, so you're going to need to figure a way to get past certain things. Involves helping the clowns out. And also seeing good old that criminal Tam being on duty, or being stuck for something. I think Tam it is. Of course, you find out whenever somebody goes missing, their clothing is left behind. You also discover that there is a ghost clown there. So, of course, you have to, figure out what's going on. Why is this ghost clown here? We need to figure out what's happening. We have to set up something to happen, which means helping the ghost of Tesla, who's in the haunted house, which that's a little fun one. And if you make the right decisions on going through the haunted house, you'll come across the most unusual romantic dinner that you will ever see, involving 2 horror icons. You got to find it. It's worth the achievement. But once you do that, you get thrown into a ghostly game show of death trap survival, which in turn you run across someone that Dooley somehow helped out when he was on the dark side. So once you provide that guy with some help, da 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 da, you're able to access things, and you find out that the clown that abducted you also sent his brother to the bright side, and he's abducting humans and making them all think that, and making all the ghosts think that the humans are responsible. So this is payback. So of course you've got to show the ghosts the truth, and they're like, "Oh dear." Then you get sent back, and all the survivors get sent back. Yay! And of course, they're sent back without clothing. When they're pulled into the dark side, they're given special suits for the show. So as you can tell, that's where that case concludes. And then it is off to the EWWW. Because Dooley is infatuated with wrestling. Why am I not surprised? Of course, when we get there, we meet up with El Dulio. And of course, at the beginning, just like I did, and I thought the same as McQueen, this is Dooley. And it turns out that their rival for the upcoming match has somehow summoned a demon to fight with him, to wrestle with him. And El Dulio has a partner who is looks a bit like McQueen. So as we work things out and get through this all and figure it all out and somehow manage to find out who the wrestler is that summoned the demon, because we didn't know his name, and then somehow manage to dispel the demon through the usual long finagled ways that these cases like to work out in such crazy logic, and I love it. We eventually find our way to dispelling the demon and helping El Dulio win the match. And then Dooley appears. And we're like, wait, what, woo, wah, wee, wah, huh, woo. Apparently Dulio, Dooley doesn't think he looks like El Dulio, but that other guy, El Dulio's partner. Which also goes to prove how dumb Dooley is, I think, at times. And then we are off to the final case, the final normal case of the game, which is basically the high school reunion. This is also, tends to be one of the reasons I don't like high school reunion. I've never attended a high school reunion, at least my own. I agreed to take my late wife to her one high school reunion. Very interesting experience. I've never had anyone try and tackle my car before. Yes, that did happen. The guy was drunk. I was also not moving. Thank the Lord for both of us. Anyhow, something is going on. In fact, the city is coming under attack at this time by a giant creature from the dark side. This giant creature is Jeff, the same being that sort of took Dooley in. Consider Dooley a friend / pet. And he wanted Dooley back. And he's been working out, becoming bigger and buffer. And it should also be noticed that of some of these teachers at the school, one is apparently very good with time technology. So we have to use this to correct things. Well, first we have to lure the demon away from the town to the school. To which we also find out that McKing did have his nerdier side, because he was an AV club. The AV club get together, so they work to get first help McQueen and Dooley lure Jeff over there. Then they are getting everything together to shoot out a time blast to weaken Jeff, which backfires as they all sort of reduce in age. I mean, it says something for your shop teacher, who is your shop teacher is an expert with time travel. And then you have to corral Jeff into a trap to capture him, which takes a good deal of trickery and maneuvering. And after that, I mean, it's something to say that McQueen, Dooley, and even McKing saved the day. And as a result, McKing does something decent for once. He basically convinces the chief to reinstate the Darkside division, because they need someone to help keep these messes from getting out of control. And while they hate to admit it, that they actually did a decent job of it. Also, Jeff is sent to spend some time with Nigel, the sea monster from the first game. And that ends, of course, the main cases. Then you got the 3 bonus cases. The first one is, I think, what's come to be could end up being a tradition if they do a third one, is the Christmas case. Except this one involves traveling through time to past eras to try and straighten things out. And we have more of those, unique guest appearances and characters showing up, so that we can sort of write things. See, basically, spirits can't advance because someone managed to pull things off so that their one member didn't have to go to go to the great beyond. But the problem is, when you take a number, well, with death, they don't necessarily say, next number, please. They'll wait until that one shows up. Fuck. And so they have to set up so that McQueen becomes a ghost so he can investigate, leaving his body in the capable, safe hands of Dooley. Oh boy. And McQueen must travel through these various times to try and straighten things out. This means going to certain past events and mucking about with them. And believe it or not, this is one of those cases where you get to see the effects of changing something in the past happening in the future. Now, once you get that done, and you get past the Christmas party and able to fix that counter and all that, so that you can move on, you've successfully completed the case. And also, if you look around at the right time in that Christmassy case, you can actually spot Krampus from the first Christmas case. Then you move on to the second case, which This one's back in Twin Lakes, but apparently there's a power outage around the botanical gardens type thing, and it turns out that there's a thunderbird nesting up there. A thunderbird that is missing its baby. A thunderbird that thinks that that Buzz, who accidentally had possibly a spray can of blue paint explode in his face, makes a thunderbird think it's his baby, her baby, whatever. So you must somehow find the missing baby thunderbird. You must get, of course, to the thunderbird. You must get everything you need to get the thunderbird, and in turn, free Buzz. Doesn't help that Dooley encourages some of Buzz's bad behavior, even though he's a cop. But of course, Buzz is Dooley's family. Part of his family. And of course, once you get that all sorted out, yay! It's back to the normal humdrum. Well, the normal humdrum being, now we have to help. We move on to the last case, the bonus case. And this last one came out like a few days before Halloween of 2022. So, this one is called Tales of the Darkside. I don't know. I don't think they called it Tales from the Darkside because that was actually a TV show in the 80s, sort of like an anthology of horror stories and sci-fi type stories. Yeah, I've seen it a few times when I was a kid. Anyhow, in this particular episode, this one you have actually 3 cases, but none of them you play as a McQueen. The first one involves the Blood Wolves playing a baseball game on a baseball field that's on top of a dam. Now, of course, the game isn't happening yet because, of course, the safety check hasn't been done, and that's because not everybody has all their equipment together. But as in the course that you are also doing that, one of the Blood Wolves is inexplicably jumping. Turns out that something's making him jump. What we find out, now they're playing against the Seags that you first encounter in the first case of the second game here. Now, apparently, they want this Cthulhu-like singing entity to perform at Twin Lakes. There's only a problem. Twin Lakes is not underwater. So the plan is that this baseball game, you got this siren to convince everybody to jump up and down at once on a dam that is slowly being ready to collapse. So if enough people are jumping up and down at once, it's going to shake it till it and floods the town. Now, of course, you're playing as one of the Blood Wolves and working to solve the case, which involves developing some way to, 1, get her out, find out what's going on. 2, once you find out it's a siren that's being held hostage, getting her to some place to get her back out into the ocean, and exposing the sea hags, and then somehow managing to win the baseball game. I kid you not. And of course, McQueen's being his usual ass self. I mean, not McQueen, McKing. Although you get to question McQueen. I mean, he's there to support Dooley and the Blood Wolves. And it works. It works wonders that they are able to do it in typical fashion of surprise. Although it was close at the end, I'll have to admit that. Now, once that case is over, you go on to your next story, which is a case involving the Bright Side division over in the Dark Side, where they are chasing a new Don who seems remarkably unghostly because they're bringing contraband into the Dark Side. That contraband being cleaning detergent. And so, you help the Dark Side division, in which the Dooley character is the smart one and the McQueen character is the dumb one. Of course, the Dooley, it's, I believe, Captain Gooley and Detective McScream. Now, as you chase them and slowly knock out the thugs, you find out that the Don is actually the nanny from the first case in the first game. She's now become a crime kingpin. She almost thinks she's actually dealing with McQueen and Dooley, and then realizes no, it's that side's their counterparts. But they foil her plan. But of course, she gives off the hint that she'll be back, which I hope if they do as 3, they bring that one back. Of course, we also we find out why all our politicians are crap. After that, we have the third case, which involves Roxa and her ghostly lover. And it seems just as she was getting to work on something, the internet gets hijacked by some sort of data mining. So first we have to get in to find out what's going on with the help of a local werewolf who just changed at the wrong time. And they treat him like a dog once he changes. And Rax is able to get onto the internet through a VR set in a nearby college, where McKing is right now because he somehow got in there. I don't know how, like he was trying to hook up with somebody or something like that. You never know with him. He got trapped. So Raxa must now, and it turns out that this virus is actually a ghostly incarnation of Cleopatra. So now you must trick her, or work to get her, get rid of the data mining, and unfreeze the servers. Because she's determined to have a monument to the world that no one will forget. Of course, the way everything plays out, she's able to do it. Well, not really. She's not able to do it. Raxa manages to, and her bow manages to trick Cleopatra and get into the computer, get what they need, get the BIOS over, to melt the ice around the World Wide Web computer. Yeah, all on one computer. I don't get it either. and end the data mining and free everybody's computer and get rid of the ghostly Cleopatra. And of course, it seems that because of all this, McKing gets promoted. In part, McQueen and Dooley arrive a little too late to help solve the case. Roxa got all handled. And that's all those fun cases. And it's still full of the same humor that was in the first one, which you gotta love. You gotta love it. This actually worked kind of humor. Did that really work out that way? Yes. The self-aware humor. I mean, when that countdown is happening as you're running to get the things you need, it's like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're still on 1. We're still on 1. We're still on 1. And we're still on 1 as you get back here with everything you need. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. It's another beautiful game, and I like that it's a little bit bigger with certain things. Like some of the cases had to involve more areas to travel to, steps to get past with each one. I mean, to call a taxi, you're calling Twin Lakes to get a taxi in Ireland. I don't know how that works, but it works. It's silly. I love it. I look forward to another game. I hope you've enjoyed all this. And next time around, in the next retrospective, I'm going to talk about the series to date. So please come check that out. Check everything I have out up on the channel. As always, this is Rich Kale here on YouTube, Rich Gen X elsewhere. Have fun all. Bye.